Have you ever wondered how to keep a greenhouse warm without relying on gas or electricity? Imagine a freezing winter day with a greenhouse full of plants, and somehow the plants thrive, even without modern heating. How is this possible? Today we're uncovering the techniques Amish communities use to keep their greenhouses warm, no matter how cold it gets outside. These methods are both effective and eco-friendly, relying solely on natural principles and traditional ingenuity. The Amish live without conventional power sources, using techniques perfected over generations. Their methods aren't just practical, they're incredibly sustainable, proving that with a bit of planning, it's possible to create a warm, thriving greenhouse without modern energy. So if you're curious about ways to heat a greenhouse that don't depend on electricity, you're in for some inspiring insights. In this video, we'll walk through key methods like solar orientation, thermal mass, compost heating, and natural insulation techniques. Each of these strategies shows how the Amish make use of what's available in nature, maximizing sunlight, compost, and even simple materials like stones and straw to keep their plants warm. By the end, you'll know exactly how the Amish work with nature to maintain warmth, proving that traditional methods can still meet today's challenges. Before we dive into these techniques, hit the subscribe button if you're interested in more content about traditional, eco-friendly solutions. And stick around, you might discover a few methods you can try in your own greenhouse to keep your plants thriving in winter. So, let's get started. First up, we'll look at how Amish greenhouses are designed to capture and retain sunlight naturally, using clever positioning and structural techniques that allow them to make the most of the winter sun. Even on the coldest days, these greenhouses are able to trap warmth simply by taking advantage of natural solar energy. Let's explore how they make it all work. The first step in keeping a greenhouse warm without electricity or gas is to make the most of natural sunlight. For the Amish, this means using solar orientation to capture as much sunlight as possible and passive solar heating to store that warmth. Think of it like stepping into a car on a sunny winter day, no heater on, but it's still warm inside because of the sunlight pouring in through the windows. The Amish apply a similar concept to their greenhouses, but with a few strategic modifications to keep that warmth around for as long as possible. Solar orientation, positioning for maximum sunlight. Amish greenhouses are positioned to face south, which maximizes sunlight exposure throughout the day. In the northern hemisphere, the sun stays low in the sky during winter, rising in the southeast and setting in the southwest. By orienting the greenhouse to face south, the building receives direct sunlight from morning until evening, capturing as much heat as possible from the sun's rays. South-facing structures absorb and store sunlight efficiently, creating a natural heat reservoir inside the greenhouse. Positioning the greenhouse isn't just about sunlight, though. It's also about minimizing shade. Amish families place greenhouses away from trees or buildings that might cast shadows during peak sunlight hours. With a clear line of sight to the sun, the greenhouse gets the maximum possible sunlight, and any warmth generated during the day lingers long after the sun goes down. Passive solar heating, turning sunlight into sustained warmth. Once the greenhouse is positioned for maximum sunlight, Amish builders use passive solar heating techniques to keep the warmth around. Passive solar heating is all about capturing sunlight during the day and then storing that heat for use overnight. By building the greenhouse with materials that absorb and slowly release heat, the Amish create an environment that stays warm long after sunset. One of the main features of an Amish greenhouse is its angled roof. A sloped or angled roof captures more sunlight, especially in winter, when the sun is lower in the sky. By angling the roof, the greenhouse can capture direct sunlight even in the late afternoon, storing up warmth for the cold evening ahead. Many Amish greenhouses also use double-layered walls made from materials like glass or polycarbonate. These layers act as insulators, trapping heat inside while reducing heat loss through the walls. Building materials that absorb and hold heat. The materials used in Amish greenhouses aren't just chosen for durability. They're selected for their ability to absorb, retain, and release heat gradually. Materials like brick, stone, or dark-colored concrete are often used for greenhouse flooring and walls. These materials have high thermal mass, meaning they absorb a lot of heat during the day and then slowly release it as the temperature drops. Think of it like a sun-warmed stone that stays warm long after the sun has set. This slow release of heat helps maintain a stable temperature inside the greenhouse even when the outside air grows cold. Another trick Amish greenhouses use is lining walls or floors with dark-colored materials. Dark colors absorb more heat than light colors, allowing the greenhouse to capture every bit of sunlight that comes through. By placing dark-colored stones or bricks on the floors or lower walls, they create a heat bank that slowly warms the air as the temperature drops. Reflective surfaces for extra sunlight. In addition to maximizing sunlight with orientation and passive solar heating, Amish greenhouses sometimes incorporate reflective surfaces to redirect sunlight. Mirrors or reflective panels can be placed on the north side of the greenhouse or on walls that don't receive direct sunlight. These surfaces bounce sunlight back toward the plants, maximizing the available light and heat. It's a simple trick, but it makes a big difference in increasing the amount of sunlight the plants receive each day. Reflective surfaces aren't just limited to mirrors, though. Sometimes Amish builders use materials like aluminum foil or light-colored paint to enhance the reflection. This small addition helps make the most of every ray of sunlight, providing extra warmth on cloudy days or in early morning and late afternoon when the sun's rays are weaker. Natural ventilation and heat control. While it's important to keep the greenhouse warm, there's also a need for balance. If too much heat builds up, it can harm the plants, even in winter. Amish greenhouses often include natural ventilation features, such as vented roofs or small windows that can be opened to let excess heat escape. This natural ventilation allows them to control the internal temperature, keeping it steady rather than allowing it to fluctuate wildly. On particularly sunny days, these ventilation systems can be used to cool the greenhouse slightly, ensuring that the temperature remains in the optimal range for plant growth. By controlling airflow, the Amish ensure that the greenhouse stays warm but not overheated, a crucial balance that helps plants thrive. The result: a self-sustaining greenhouse environment. Through careful positioning, material selection, and natural ventilation, Amish greenhouses create a self-sustaining environment that requires no additional heating. With the right setup, the greenhouse can maintain warmth even in the coldest months, allowing plants to grow and thrive without the need for gas or electricity. These techniques demonstrate the Amish's deep understanding of natural heating methods and their resourceful approach to greenhouse management. By maximizing sunlight through orientation, using passive solar heating, and adding materials with high thermal mass, the Amish have perfected the art of heating greenhouses naturally. This approach not only saves on energy costs, but also aligns with their commitment to self-sufficiency and sustainability. It's an ingenious solution that anyone with a greenhouse can try to adopt, even if just a few of these techniques are applied. Next, let's look at how the Amish use thermal mass techniques to take their greenhouse heating to the next level. Beyond solar orientation and passive heating, Amish greenhouses rely heavily on thermal mass to maintain warmth. But what exactly is thermal mass? Think of it like this. When you sit on a stone bench that's been in the sun all day, it's warm, right? That's thermal mass at work. Materials with high thermal mass, like stone and water, absorb heat during the day and slowly release it when temperatures drop. The Amish have mastered using these natural heat stores to keep their greenhouses warm through chilly nights. Using stone and brick as heat storage. One common material in Amish greenhouses is stone or brick. Both absorb and retain heat effectively, releasing it gradually as the air cools. By lining floors or lower walls with brick or stone, the greenhouse creates a thermal bank of sorts, a reserve of warmth that radiates heat into the air even when the sun is gone. Imagine each brick or stone as a tiny radiator, giving off warmth through the night. This technique doesn't just keep the greenhouse warm, it helps maintain a consistent temperature. Because these materials release heat slowly, they prevent drastic temperature fluctuations, which can stress plants. The result is a more stable environment where plants can thrive. Water barrels, nature's radiators. Water is another material with excellent thermal mass, and Amish greenhouses often use barrels filled with water to store heat. During the day, these barrels absorb warmth from the sunlight streaming in. As the air temperature drops in the evening, the barrels release that stored heat, radiating warmth throughout the greenhouse. It's an efficient, low-cost way to retain heat without electricity. You'll often see these barrels painted black to increase their heat absorption. The darker color soaks up more sunlight, creating a more effective heat source. Arranged strategically around the greenhouse, these barrels become natural radiators that keep the air from dropping to freezing temperatures. Some Amish families even place smaller water containers among the plants themselves, giving those tender greens a bit of extra warmth. Comparing thermal mass to everyday examples. To understand thermal mass more clearly, let's think of a concrete sidewalk on a hot day. It absorbs the sun's rays all afternoon and stays warm well into the evening. By the time night falls, it's still releasing that stored warmth. In an Amish greenhouse, materials like stone and water do the same thing, only with even greater efficiency. The greenhouse structure itself becomes a heat bank, gradually releasing warmth as needed to keep plants comfortable. Using gravel paths for extra warmth. Some Amish greenhouses go a step further by using gravel pathways instead of dirt floors. Gravel absorbs heat during the day and gives it off at night, adding an extra layer of thermal mass to the space. It's a simple choice, but effective. Each gravel piece acts like a tiny heater, helping to keep temperatures stable. Unlike other materials, gravel is also easy to rearrange, allowing Amish gardeners to adjust their pathways to best suit the sunlight patterns. These gravel paths don't just provide warmth, they also improve drainage, preventing excess moisture buildup around the plants. By keeping the soil dry, the greenhouse environment becomes less susceptible to mold and mildew, creating a healthier atmosphere for plants. Stone walls as heat sinks. For Amish families who have access to plenty of stone, building a stone wall along the north side of the greenhouse adds significant thermal mass. This wall acts as a heat sink, absorbing sunlight throughout the day and releasing warmth as temperatures drop. It's a powerful natural heater that doesn't require any energy input, simply radiating stored heat back into the greenhouse at night. This technique not only warms the air, but also serves as a buffer against cold winter winds. The stone wall blocks drafts, helping to insulate the greenhouse and maintain a more consistent internal temperature. Plus, stone walls are incredibly durable, making them a lasting addition to the greenhouse. Layering thermal mass materials for best results. The Amish sometimes layer different thermal mass materials in the greenhouse to maximize heat retention. For example, they might use water barrels in one section, a gravel path in another, and stone walls on the northern side. Each material contributes to the overall warmth of the space, creating a complex heat storage system that ensures plants are protected from the cold, even on freezing nights. This combination of materials provides a blanket effect, layering heat sources to prevent temperature dips. It's a bit like wrapping yourself in multiple blankets on a cold night. Each layer adds to the overall warmth, creating an environment where plants stay comfortable, even without gas or electric heating. Thermal mass in practice. Low-tech, high efficiency. In the end, thermal mass is a simple but highly effective way to keep a greenhouse warm naturally. By choosing materials that store and release heat, the Amish have created a greenhouse environment that remains stable even in fluctuating winter temperatures. It's low-tech, cost-effective, and environmentally friendly, proving that with a little ingenuity, you can create a warm, thriving greenhouse without a single watt of electricity. Next, let's look at another clever Amish technique, using compost as a heat source. This surprising method takes advantage of natural decomposition to generate warmth, keeping the greenhouse cozy and plants protected. One surprising yet highly effective technique the Amish use to keep greenhouses warm is compost heating. That's right. Compost piles aren't just for enriching soil. They actually generate heat as they break down organic material. Think of compost as nature's very own heater, producing warmth from the energy of decomposition. By strategically placing compost piles inside or around the greenhouse, the Amish harness this heat to keep temperatures up, even in the coldest months. How compost generates heat. So how does a pile of compostable materials become a mini heater? The answer lies in the biological breakdown process. When compost is created from a mix of greens, like vegetable scraps and grass clippings, and browns, like straw, leaves, and wood shavings, microbes in the pile start breaking down the materials. This process generates heat as a byproduct, and with the right balance of greens and browns, the compost can reach temperatures of up to 150 degrees, 65 degrees C. That's enough to warm the air around it and help regulate the greenhouse's internal temperature. Positioning compost piles for optimal heat. The Amish place compost piles strategically within or near the greenhouse to ensure they're in the best position to distribute warmth. Often, they'll set up compost piles along the north wall of the greenhouse, which acts as a natural heat source that doesn't obstruct sunlight. This placement also helps block cold winds, adding an extra layer of protection against drafts. In some cases, Amish gardeners will even place small compost bins inside the greenhouse, near particularly cold-sensitive plants. These bins provide a steady source of warmth right where it's needed, keeping the surrounding plants comfortable and shielding them from cold snaps. The compost itself warms up the air and soil, creating a microenvironment that helps plants stay cozy, even on frosty nights. Maintaining the right balance for maximum heat. To get the best results from compost heating, the Amish carefully balance the green and brown materials. Greens provide nitrogen, which speeds up decomposition, while browns provide carbon, which fuels the breakdown process without creating excess moisture. Too much of either material can slow down decomposition, resulting in less heat. By adjusting the ratio of greens to browns, Amish gardeners maintain an ideal compost mix that generates steady warmth. Moisture is also key. The Amish monitor the compost piles closely, ensuring they're moist but not soggy. Too much moisture can slow down decomposition and reduce heat production. With just the right balance, however, the compost pile maintains a high temperature, creating a sustainable source of warmth that requires minimal upkeep. A dual-purpose solution: heat and nutrients. Compost heating isn't just a clever way to keep plants warm. It also enriches the soil with valuable nutrients once it's fully broken down. After composting, the rich organic material can be spread across garden beds, boosting soil fertility for the next growing season. In other words, composting provides both warmth and long-term benefits for plant health, making it a dual-purpose solution that's as practical as it is resourceful. This dual-purpose approach is a testament to Amish resourcefulness. By using compost as a heat source, they not only create a sustainable way to warm the greenhouse, but also reduce the need for store-bought fertilizers. The compost, once fully decomposed, is a rich source of nutrients that helps plants grow stronger and healthier, a benefit that lasts far beyond the cold season. Composting as a low-cost, high-impact heating method. One of the greatest advantages of compost heating is its low cost. It requires no electricity, no gas, and very little maintenance. Just a mix of organic materials that can often be found right on the property. For the Amish, who prioritize self-sufficiency, this technique aligns perfectly with their values, providing an affordable and eco-friendly way to maintain greenhouse warmth. In the end, compost heating is an ingenious use of natural processes, transforming a simple pile of organic matter into a valuable source of warmth. It's a method that makes the most of what's available, offering a sustainable, reliable way to heat a greenhouse without relying on any modern fuel sources. Next, let's explore how the Amish further protect their greenhouses with natural windbreaks and insulation techniques. In addition to harnessing solar energy and compost heat, Amish greenhouses rely on natural windbreaks and insulation to maintain a warm, stable environment. By blocking cold winds and preventing heat loss, These techniques create a cozy greenhouse environment that's efficient and low cost. Using windbreaks to shield the greenhouse. The Amish place great importance on protecting their greenhouses from cold winter winds. A strong wind can easily strip away warmth, making it harder for the greenhouse to retain heat. To prevent this, Amish families use windbreaks like trees, shrubs, and straw bales, creating a barrier between the greenhouse and icy gusts. Planting dense rows of evergreen trees along the north side of the greenhouse is a popular Amish method for blocking wind. Evergreens like pine and spruce provide year-round protection, forming a natural wall that stops cold air from directly hitting the greenhouse. The windbreak doesn't just reduce heat loss, it also creates a calmer environment within the greenhouse, minimizing the impact of temperature fluctuations on plants. In addition to natural windbreaks, Amish gardeners sometimes stack straw bales around the greenhouse base. These bales act as insulating barriers, further blocking wind and helping to keep the greenhouse warm. Straw bales are affordable, biodegradable, and easy to replace as needed, making them a convenient solution for reducing drafts. Insulating the greenhouse for maximum heat retention. Insulation is a key factor in Amish greenhouse heating. Proper insulation prevents warm air from escaping, so the greenhouse can stay warm for longer. Amish families insulate their greenhouses using cost-effective materials like plastic sheeting, straw, and even extra layers of soil. By creating a thick layer of insulation, they trap heat, reducing the need for additional heating. One common technique is to line the greenhouse walls with straw bales. Straw has excellent insulating properties, creating a buffer between the greenhouse interior and the cold outside. Another simple trick is using plastic sheeting to create double-layered walls, which trap air between the layers. This air layer acts as insulation, helping to keep heat inside while blocking cold air from entering. Some Amish greenhouses even have earthen walls or floors that provide natural insulation. By partially embedding the greenhouse in the ground, they take advantage of the Earth's consistent temperature, which provides warmth in winter and coolness in summer. Low-tech solutions with high impact. The combination of windbreaks and insulation may seem low-tech, but it has a significant impact on heat retention. By shielding the greenhouse from cold winds and adding insulating layers, the Amish create a protective barrier that keeps warmth inside, even on freezing days. Together, these techniques make a powerful addition to the greenhouse's heating system, working in harmony with solar and compost heating to maintain an ideal growing environment. Next, let's explore how Amish farmers maximize the effectiveness of these methods by choosing hardy plants and practicing succession planting. Along with all the structural and environmental techniques, Amish farmers make smart crop choices to keep their greenhouses productive through winter. By selecting hardy plants that naturally withstand cold temperatures and planning their planting schedules, they ensure a continuous harvest, even in the depths of winter. Cold-hardy crops that thrive in winter. Amish farmers know that not all crops are suited for winter growing, so they focus on varieties that can handle low temperatures. Some of their go-to choices include leafy greens like kale, spinach, and Swiss chard, which are known for their frost resistance. Root vegetables such as carrots, beets, and radishes are also favorites because they grow well in cool soil and can tolerate frost. These crops have natural cold resilience, meaning they can thrive in chilly environments without the need for extra heating. For example, kale and spinach are known to become sweeter after exposure to frost, so the cold actually enhances their flavor. By choosing crops that embrace cold weather, Amish farmers minimize the need for additional heat, relying on the plant's natural abilities to thrive. Succession planting for continuous harvest. Another technique Amish gardeners use is succession planting, which involves staggering the planting of crops to ensure a steady supply of fresh produce. Instead of planting everything at once, they sow seeds every few weeks, creating a continuous rotation of crops that mature at different times. This way, as one batch is harvested, another is reaching its peak. Succession planting allows for a variety of fresh greens and root vegetables throughout winter, maximizing the productivity of the greenhouse. Amish gardeners might plant spinach in one section in late fall, followed by Swiss chard a few weeks later, ensuring that they always have something growing, even in the coldest months. Smart crop choices for efficient greenhouse management. By focusing on cold-hardy plants and using succession planting, the Amish make the most of their greenhouse space and maintain a productive garden year-round. This approach not only provides fresh produce, but also makes efficient use of the warmth and resources available in the greenhouse. Together, these techniques add yet another layer to the Amish's resourceful approach to winter gardening, helping them achieve a self-sustaining greenhouse without relying on gas or electricity. With crops carefully chosen and strategically planted, the greenhouse remains a thriving environment, proving that nature provides all the tools needed to grow food, even in winter. We've just explored how the Amish keep their greenhouses warm without a single watt of electricity or drop of gas. From sunlight positioning to thermal mass and compost heating, these techniques make winter gardening both sustainable and efficient. Hit subscribe for more insights into traditional eco-friendly solutions, and let us know in the comments if you'd try any of these techniques. Ready for more Amish-inspired wisdom? Click the video popping up here for more tips on self-sufficient living.